we're going to be looking at Chase Brown's game logs to start. We do see an ascent, right? So 3 for 11 in week 1. Gets a couple targets and doesn't do much with them. Like, we see that, his attempts are going up every week. And in week 4, we see the explosion. I mean, it's the Carolina Panthers. He goes 15 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. Now, to be fair, Zack Moss also pops off in that game. He also has about 18 fantasy points, gets a receiving touchdown. Chase Brown gets 2 rushing touchdowns. Maybe you expect that to be kind of reversed where Chase Brown's getting the receiving stuff. But in any case, in week 5 against a stout Baltimore defense, Chase Brown does really well, dude. 12 for 46, only 3.83 yards per carry, but gets a couple of receptions and a receiving touchdown. So salvages the day with that receiving touchdown, ends up getting about 15 fantasy points, has himself a nice little day, dude. And the important part in this game is that Zack Moss does get injured. Now, it looked like a bad high ankle sprain. They did say it's not too bad. It's not going to be too debilitating. He's not going to be out too long. But in any case, dude, it looked bad enough where I think he might not be gone for long. It might be 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. But when he comes back, dude, is he going to be the same? We know that high ankle sprains can be pretty brutal. I'm pretty sure I have a high ankle sprain right now. I don't know how I got it. I'm not a professional athlete, and it fucking sucks, dude. So anyway, he was taking over this role already. He had the increasing opportunities. And I want to show you guys a couple of things that I found on Twitter. So JJ Zachariason, one of the GOATs when it comes to data, and he does these weekly data dumps. One of them, he was talking about just his rushes by week, like the percentage of Cincinnati's total rushes. Week 1, 25%, week 2, 25%. And then we see the ascent, dude. 37% in week 3, 50% in week 4, and then 57% in week 5. He's getting more than 50% of Cincinnati's rushing attempts. And we know that Zach Moss gets injured in week 5. Does that mean he would have maybe stayed at the 50% mark? I don't know. Somebody maybe can clarify in the comments whether, he really took over the backfield. How late did Zach Moss get injured? I didn't really keep track of that. But I have this chart, which is basically yards before contact and yards after contact. Also found this on Twitter. Basically, you have here in the y-axis how many yards do they get after contact per attempt, and how many yards are getting before. Now, what I like to do, I like to decipher this in terms of, is their offensive line good, and are they hitting the right gaps? Right, so it's kind of both. Like, I don't know. Also in the comments, let me know what you guys think. Is yards before contact a metric that tracks the offensive line, or the vision of the running back, or both? Is it like, are there way too many variables for us to even like decipher what that means? But anyway, Chase Brown kind of breaks this fucking chart, dude. So we see Chase Brown over here at, it seems like 2.3 or 2.4 yards before contact. That tells us the Bengals are an above average team when it comes to their offensive line. At least that's what I think, that's what the takeaway I take. But when it comes to yards after contact, he breaks the chart, dude. He's way up here, almost it seems like 3.48 or something like that yards after contact, meaning the dude's getting tackled. He's not going down at that first tackle. He's grinding yards out. He's grinding. He's twerking. He's Chase Brown, dude. He's one of these low center of gravity, absolute like Philip Lindsay type like grinder. He's just gonna get those yards, man. He's gonna like seek contact. I love Chase Brown, dude. So I think this is a nice indication that he is a good running back, right? And he's in a good situation. You want dudes in this quadrant over here on the top right. So I found this other chart from Jacob Gibbs on Twitter, also one of the best follows if you're into like fantasy data and stuff like that. Chase Brown is essentially number 2 in, I don't even know what he filtered this by, to be honest. I think rushing EPA. I think that's what no, it seems here offensive rush success percent. Off rush success percent. I don't know. I don't even know what EPA means, to be honest. I'm kind of too afraid to ask anybody what the fuck EPA is. No, I'm just playing. EPA is essentially like, it's the expected points and how many points you're getting above that. So like your rushing EPA per snap is like, how many rushing yards is he getting above the expected on that rush? So he's getting like 10.7, putting him in the, along the likes of Derrick Henry. I probably even butchered that stat. Like, I probably still don't know what EPA is, even though I looked it up. But yeah, Chase Brown, I mean, it seems like this is a good thing. I don't know how he filtered this. I don't know what this means, but he's number 2 in it. So hopefully it's a nice, good stat. And yeah, moving on, we're going to look at his rest of the season rankings. I mentioned this in one of my other videos. It's essentially they take a bunch of variables together and they determine like whose schedule is the easiest, where we should rank them rest of the season. They take into account like strength of schedule, the offensive line, the offense as a whole, their defense, all that kind of stuff. And we see that Chase Brown's 31st. He does move up 6 spots recently. So my takeaway of Chase Brown, what we should be doing with him, buy him, dude. Buy Chase Brown right now. I do think his value is still somewhat low. His perceived value, people still don't perceive him as like a top 20 running back. They still perceive him as like kind of this flex play. Dude, you're not really that comfortable starting. But with the Zack Moss injury, with him already kind of taking over slowly, I think he's the perfect type of guy that you can get, throw him in your RB2 spot, and you can feel really good about it. Like, if that means you need to tier down an RB to tier up one of your wide receivers, but you get Chase Brown in return, like, I would really consider doing something like that. Like, if you can send away a Ramondre and get a Chase Brown back and then maybe upgrade one of your wide receivers, really consider doing something like that, guys. But in any case, that does it for this video, man. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit me up with a like. It really supports the channel. And if you're new here, man, and if you want to really support, hit me up with a subscribe. Hit that little notification bell so that you do see my videos when they do get published. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, like I mentioned. But in any case, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.